You know what? As an entrepreneur, I have made so many bad decisions. I mean, you just do, because you know when you're an entrepreneur, you're experimenting out there. You know, you're especially when you're with like me. You know, I'm in a lot of different businesses. I think you know I look back at some of my biggest business mistakes, and I think one is associating sometimes with people that you shouldn't associate with. I remember years ago when I was in the oil and gas business, one of my first associates, somebody that I should not have been associated with, he wasn't a very good business guy and not a very good example. And I was 18 or 19 years old, I guess 18 years old, when I got into business with him. And he was not a good example. A good guy, but a really bad example of a businessman. And I think, you know, you tend to pick up some of those habits early on. And it took me a while to shake those. But in the meantime, you kind of lose a little bit of reputation by hanging out with those type of folks. So I think that was one of those bad decisions. Other bad decisions, and this is kind of interesting, my dad always says when something has to go right, it won't. And I'd bought a piece of real estate in Branson, Missouri, had paid $4.9 million for. I think I was 26 or 27 years old at the time. Paid $4.9 million for it, and I had a deal to flip it the next month, the following month, for a little over $7 million. So it was a really good deal, and that was back when the Branson real estate market was just hot as can be. So I bought the thing, $4.9 million, signed on the note personally, $60,000 a month. The deal to flip it fell through. Same time, the real estate market there crashed. So there I was with a $4.9 million note and nothing to do with the building. So that was tough. That was and it was just stupid. That, again, when something has to go right, it won't.
Why was it stupid? What was the mistake?
You know, the mistake was counting on that one person to actually close.
So do you recommend spreading out your risk?
I recommend doing smart. Had I been smart at that time, I would have scheduled those closings simultaneously, so that I would have known that the second guys, and since then I've done a lot of those closings simultaneous, where it's like when my money goes hard, their money goes hard, same time. Literally, there's a closing, you're closing, and back to back they're closing, so everybody knows that everybody's funds are good. So, but that was just one of those stupid mistakes, and I think it comes down to greed. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you're playing tennis. People always say the bad tennis players don't get beat by other people; they beat themselves. In other words, they'll see an easy shot, and they'll try to hit it, and they'll end up going out of the line or hitting the net or something like that. Where if you just volley back and forth very carefully, you tend to do well. The mistake entrepreneurs make when they first make money. By the way, I'm an expert at this. I'm the doctor of this because I've done it. And it's just totally stupid. But you make a few bucks. You haven't had bucks before. You go out and you spend wildly. Huge house, big cars, just insane. I've done it. I've been there and done it. Done it a couple of times, and it's just stupid. You're not impressing anybody. But it's you kind of feel like, okay, I've worked really hard. I've put it out there on the line. Now I've made all this money. I want to enjoy it and I want to do something with it. The real thing, the best thing to do, and by the way, you'll probably make that as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs will make that mistake. It just happens. But take it from me, don't do it. If you can help it, don't do it. But you're better off taking that money and putting it away, putting it back into working capital, or just hanging on to the money. Because like my dad always says, you have to make hay while the sun is shining, and because the sun doesn't shine every day. So these last couple of go-arounds of money that I made, I've kept it, and I've kept a lot of it. And it's so much easier having access to some of that than not.